Come with me to the theatre of life. Roll up, take your seat. The curtain will be rising soon on a snowy Russian scene filled with happy people. It's an old story, this one, set way back in old St. Petersburg, one holiday in spring. It's a sad story too, so don't forget they are only actors playing out the plot, just like puppets in a puppet theatre. Nothing to mind about. One Shrove Tuesday, long ago, the old square in St. Petersburg was alive with people, all eager to spend their few kopecks having fun in the spring sunshine. There were stalls selling delicious pastries, sherbet powder, scalding tea. There were hooplas and coconut shies, fortune tellers and peddlers. Everyone began gathering in one spot. Not long now until the puppet show. The old puppet master poked his icicle of a nose between the swagged curtains, inviting people to step closer and see the show. When the curtains drew back, lifting their golden fringes off the plank stage, 3 puppets hung there, their strings looped about their drooping heads. But a quick drum roll, a squawk of trumpets, and they jerked into a dance as lively as any sailor's sweetheart or organ grinder's daughter. There was a Saracen, huge and black, with a silver sabre sharp as a sickle moon and his head swathed in a turban. He rolled a wicked pair of eyes towards the second puppet. Lyuba was a pretty marionette with long yellow hair and cornflower eyes and cheeks as red as blushes. Third and last was little Peter, Petrouchka, a thin, worn clown in baggy pantaloons and a big ruffled collar. His face was deathly white and his mouth turned down so sadly that it made people laugh. It's odd that, isn't it? Year after year, the audiences came to see him dance his sad little dances and laugh until the tears ran down their faces. Perhaps they were happy to see someone worse off than themselves. If only they had known just how special Petrouchka was, for there was far more to him than a turned-down mouth and a baggy suit. Of all the puppets in the world, he had the most terrible secret. If eyes could have seen inside his canvas chest, his sawdust stuffing, they would have seen the glimmer of a soul. For by accident, God had sewn a human soul into Peter's cloth chest, so that Peter felt what it was to love as humans love. He loved Lyuba, the ballerina, and she loved the Saracen. Lyuba had no soul. She could not look inside another person's heart. She could only see the Saracen's big, handsome body, his strong arms and leaping legs, those foreign eyes as they looked at her and smouldered. As the music played, the 3 puppets danced with jerky movements, showing off what they could do. Lyuba was laughing. She loved the big fellow paying her so much attention, showing off to her, chasing Peter away with that great shining sword. She liked Peter bringing her flowers too, of course, sighing and gazing, but well, he was only Petrouchka, making an idiot of himself as usual. Nobody took him seriously. That Shrove Tuesday, Petrouchka tried to make her understand how his love was something different, better, more real, human. But Lyuba had no eyes for him. She went on flirting with the Saracen. What's Peter doing? What's he playing at? He's attacking the Saracen. He's jealous. Stop that! The puppet master's harsh voice startled everyone. He shook a bony fist, and at once the brawl on stage ended and the 3 players went back to dancing. Jig-jog, 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 knees bent, elbows out, 1, 2, 3, in time with the music. After the crowds had gone, the puppet master hurled the little clown into a poky room behind the stage and locked the door on him. Petrouchka pounded at the door and rattled the lock, but it was no good. He was shut up, all alone with his anger and despair. His human soul burned with anguish. He hated the puppet master, and he loathed the Saracen with all the bitter scalding hatred of jealousy. He loved Lyuba with an aching, helpless passion, and now to be shut in, to be treated like a bunch of rags and kept from the cool evening air, he thought he would stifle. "Peter! Oh, Petrouchka, are you all right?" "Lyuba, whatever got into you just now?" asked the pretty ballerina, standing on tiptoe to speak through the window. "I couldn't bear it, Lyuba, not another minute, to see how that brute leers at you and paws at you and tries to kiss you. You shouldn't let him, you mustn't. You have me. Don't you know I've always loved you with a love that rips my body to shreds?" Lyuba stared at him with her big, empty eyes. "And who might you be to tell me who I can and cannot dance with? Some little pasty-faced clown in baggy pants. Really?" And half in fright, half in temper, she ran away from the window. "No, wait, come back, stop!" Little Peter wrenched at the door, hammered at the window, and finally, in a frenzy of passion, hurled himself clear through the plywood wall of his backstage prison. He knew exactly which way Lyuba had gone. The Saracen might be a hulking, handsome bully, but he was a bit of a buffoon too. Between shows, lying about in his dressing room on sumptuous Arabian cushions and rugs, he had barely a thought in his big empty head. As soon as Lyuba came prinking into the room, he wanted to cuddle and kiss her. "Dance with me, my divine loveliness," roared the Saracen, and Lyuba let herself be whirled around the room. But soon she was tired of dancing and of having kisses planted in the nape of her neck and up and down her arms. "Stop now, let go of me," she said, and when he did not, she grew quite alarmed and tried to pull away. That was when Peter came rushing into the room. He kicked at the Saracen's legs, beat at the Saracen's broad back. He tried to prise open the strong fingers that gripped his beloved, but the Saracen only laughed, "Ho, ho, ho," and threw Peter aside like a parcel of rags. Roaring like a bear, he drew his sword from his scabbard and sliced the air into shreds. "Oh, do be careful, Peter, he'll kill you," cried Lyuba as the wicked blade whistled within a whisker of Peter's white face. The Saracen chased Peter off the stage and through the crowd with his sword until he had cornered Peter against a high wall. "No!" screamed Lyuba. With a thud and a rip of canvas, the curved scimitar struck, plunging deep into Peter's narrow chest. He slumped to the ground. The crowd pulled away in revulsion. Only Lyuba went to his side, tender and loving, to discover the truth. Peter was dead. "Send for the police!" cried a woman in the crowd. "Murder! Murder! Murder!" The puppet master's pointed hat shook with laughter. "A murder? Who do you think's been murdered, my dear lady?" He held up a small, ragged puppet, streams of sawdust trickling out through rents in its chest. "How can you murder a rag doll? How can you kill a puppet?" Then a noise pierced the night air, so loud, so sharp, so eerie, that all St. Petersburg seemed to catch its breath. High above their heads, dancing on the wall, as fearless as any acrobat on a tightrope, a bright white form stretched its arms up to the sky. It's Peter. It's Petrouchka. It's little Peter. Lyuba looked up at him, one hand to her lips, one hand to her sawdust heart. "Oh, Peter, you're alive!" And so he was in a way. At least his happy soul was alive, freed to live on and leap up, as all human souls are freed by death, to dance among the stars and the moons and the planets. "He was just a puppet," said the puppet master scornfully, doubtfully, trembling with terror. How can a puppet live on?" How indeed? Remember those words when you settle down in your seat and the curtains part and the theatre of life begins.